Welcome back. Now, we're going to go ahead and get started with Grizzly Slash's stage. Upside, if you're playing an X only playthrough, you always want to start with X because it gives you the 4th armor. If you start off with 0, you're not going to have an armor until you complete the Falcon armor, which is it a pain? Yes, it's a serious pain. I'm trying to think. It's a lot harder to unlock the Falcon armor without the 4th armor. You'll see that more in Duff McWhalen's stage. Now the way, well, I'll get into that as we go further and further, but the way that I'm going to fire the Enigma so that it'll succeed is that I'm going to waste time off camera and drop the hours down as low as they can be without killing me. If you do that, the Enigma has a lot better chance of succeeding. This is Grizzly Slash's stage. It's actually a convoy of trucks. It's a fairly easy stage. There's very little to worry about. Make sure you don't fall into the trucks. Always stay moving once the truck starts exploding. And, well, I'll explain that in a second. When you get to the front of a truck, you need to destroy the blue cores that you see right there in front of X. Easiest way to do it, if you're using the Gaia armor, well, I'll show that later, but it's the same thing as if you're using the 4th armor. You can crouch and just fire at it with the Gaia armor. When you're using the 4th, you're going to have to get close, duck and fire, but you have to be right in front of it instead of being able to hide on top. Now you want to move these fairly fast when they start exploding on their own. There's an item that you can miss if you don't move fast enough. A lot worse than my first one. It's not that big of an issue. Now, oddly enough, the majority of the heart tanks cannot be reached with anything besides the Gaia armor for the first 4 stages. The second 4 stages, it's easier to reach the heart tanks with the Falcon armor. So that means you're pretty much going to have to play the first 4 stages and one of the stages on the second set if you want all the heart tanks twice. Right here, the trucks continuously explode. Just keep moving. Now here is an issue. Those red things that shoot the drills, well, not shoot, but actually have the drills continuously come out of them, are actually instant death. You want to make sure you stay away from the drills. You can stand on top of the red section, but you cannot take the drills. Now, as this is a 100% completion run, we are going to be getting all the armors for the X. We'll be also be doing it for 0, but that's mainly only because of conversations between 0 and Dr. Light. There's one conversation I'm not necessarily sure I'm going to get yet, and that's the conversation with the Black 0 armor. Main reason why is because I want the Black 0 armor from the beginning because I suck at 0. Like terribly. It's going to be awful. Unlike the X games that come before this, you cannot use the armor pieces until you have the complete set. It's a little frustrating, especially if you did not start off with X, but I guess for the reason that they do not want you mix and matching, and mixing and matching probably would not work too well anyway, they decided to run things this way. Especially since the armors are also very unique in what they do. Falcon armor, which is the first armor that we'll be collecting, I have mixed feelings about. While the Falcon armor is definitely useful, especially when it comes to mobility, it cannot charge special weapons, which is a first for any special armor in this game. Another issue with it is the fact that it cannot air dash, which, when you take away air dash when you're used to it, makes the game a little bit more complicated. But I'll be getting more into that as I get the Falcon armor. This is Grizzly Slash. He's fairly easy to fight. He's only got a few patterns and a few attacks. He is weak to... what is he weak to again? Ah, well, okay, not an issue. This is also a weird conversation between X and Grizzly Slash, mainly because this fight, Grizzly Slash says that he wants to fight X while he's still himself, but X says that he doesn't have time to be fighting him, which when we go and do Duff McWellin's stage, Duff McWellin doesn't seem to be turning into a Maverick at all. But he says he just wants to fight him because he does not want him using his C. And X is perfectly fine with that. This is X's job and he doesn't want to fight. Duff McWellin is not really a job, he's just being stubborn and he's perfectly okay with that. He'll shoot out 3 little crescents and he'll jump at you for the most part. He's really easy at this part. The only thing that might trip you up is if he jumps and he decides to start drilling into the ground. When he drills into the ground, there's a couple different things that he can do. He can either pop up out of the ground and try to hit you with this drill, or he'll come from behind you stage and then try to slash you with this cross like that. The way that I deal with it is I just keep moving. He can't really keep up with me. And he'll eventually just fall from the sky. And then he'll start firing larger crescents. If you're near a wall, they're fairly easy to dodge. You can also duck them, but it's just easier to sometimes take it. And there we go. That's Grizzly Slash. Boss killed music. Now this is the point where you can start choosing what weapons you want or what enhancement parts you want. For the most part, the life enhancement parts are more for X. The energy or weapon enhancement parts are more for 0. There's a good chance it's not going to allow me to select which one I want. This time around, if it does, then I'll show you what I mean. Yes, did not give it a chance. Ellie will always say the same thing about the DNA from the boss every single time, so I'll be skipping after this individual. Flavor text does not really automatically use. Next up, we'll be doing Duff McWellin's stage. But first, we have an incoming message from Dynamo. Or, well, source unknown, but it's Dynamo. Go ahead and just roll that. Dynamo is a boss that you'll fight between after the 2nd stage and after the 6th stage that you do. You can actually go through this entire game without fighting him at all. but that also means you will not have any of the special weapons from the bosses, which yet and still, I do not recommend. Dynamo's fairly easy as his first form, because all he does is he'll jump and slash at you, or he'll throw his sword at you. You'll see that more when I fight him after the Well stage, but that's also video away. And there we go. That's the end of Grizzly Slash. Next up, Duff McQuail.